I'm Kim Kirk, and I'm glad that you've joined me for this series of 10 things I learned about fear. It's something we all struggle with to one extent or another. For some, it periodically rears its ugly head, and for others, it's an ongoing battle. There's many that it has been kicked to a whole new level during this pandemic. And even now, as the stay-at-home orders are being relaxed, which is a great thing, stress from should I or shouldn't I, what should I do, when should I go, can bring it on. God's word has a lot to say about fear, mostly to fear not. And we're going to dig into the scriptures to pull out truths and tools that can help us to understand and overcome it. The first thing I learned is that fear is not from God. Now, this is a pretty bold and blanket statement, and it does require some clarification. There are basically three kinds of fear. The first is protective fear, and that is a good kind that does come from God, and it's necessary. It's that sense that we shouldn't go too close to the edge of a cliff. The second is the kind we are called to have towards God, and that is that awe and that reverence, and also the fear of his power and authority, as can be seen in Luke chapter 12, verses 4 and 5. I tell you, my friends, do not be afraid of those who kill the body and after that can do no more. But I will show you whom you should fear. Fear him who, after killing the body, has power to throw it into hell. Yes, I tell you, fear him. We will be getting into how we are not to fear people in number 3 on our list. The final kind of fear is destructive fear, and that's what we're going to be addressing in this series. It's something that no good comes out of it. It actually does us harm. It hinders, and it often even paralyzes us. And we know that it is not from God. But how? How do we know that? Well, we can see it from the very beginning. In the opening chapters of Genesis, God created everything, and it was good. It was perfect. And then Adam and Eve sinned. They realized their nakedness. They covered it with fig leaves. Then they hid because they heard God walking in the cool of the day. And that brings us to Genesis 3, verse 10. Adam is speaking. And he said, I heard the sound of you in the garden, and I was afraid because I was naked, and I hid myself. So sin, not God, brought fear into the world. We talked about this in number 6 in the 10 things I learned from the fall series. God also continually through his word keeps telling us not to be afraid, not to be afraid. So that's another proof that it didn't come from him. But he states it even more specifically in 2 Timothy 1:7. For God gave us a spirit not of fear, but of power and love and self-control. In context, we always have to see verses in the context that they're written. We see that this is a charge to Timothy from Paul, talking about in the previous verses, he's talking about his sincere faith and that he should fan into flame or stir up the gifts, the spiritual gifts he's been given. And he can do that, and he can serve the Lord boldly because he's not been given a spirit of fear. And the word that's translated as fear in the scriptures there can mean fear, fearfulness, cowardice, or timidity, none of which are from God. Well, I hope you will come back tomorrow to see what else we can learn about fear and how to overcome it.